Hey, welcome back to Mary's classroom. So we're here for lesson 2. Last week we had our introductory lesson, which states who I am and what I want to be and what the channel will be about. This week we're having our first actual lesson for the channel. So this week's lesson will be a lesson plan and it would be on fractions. Now, I know there are a few persons who are not so keen on fractions, but that is what we'll be dealing with today. Now, if you see me looking across in this direction or pointing this way, please don't be afraid. It's not like I don't want to communicate with you. It's because my laptop is over here and I have the information here which I will be referring to when I am giving you the lesson. Okay, so first up we have the lesson plan, and well, which you already know, and it is for an 18-minute lesson. This is for class 1. In Barbados we do classes, we don't do grades. The age group would be 7 to 8. So yeah, the topic, as you would know, is fractions, and obviously the subject would be mathematics. So the 3 objectives that I have to go with this topic are: compare 4 fractions of different sizes to state their similarities. So students will have probably like a half and 2/4, and they'll be able to state, okay, 2/4 equal to a half, and you could probably have a quarter and 2/8. Is eighths? Yes, a quarter and 2/8, which would show, that they are basically the same thing. All right. So that was the cognitive objective. The second objective, which is the affective objective, would be to participate actively in group work to help classmates understand the concept of fractions. Now, I know the affective domain tends to be one of the harder objectives to write, but this can be measured where students, help out one another, show their classmates and their friends who are having difficulties ways in which they can understand fractions. Everybody won't be able to do this because not everybody understands fractions, and not everybody will be able to pick up fractions as quickly as others. The third and final objective is to make 2 manipulatives using given materials which can be used to teach fractions. So those are the 3 manipulatives. I try to use them based on the lots and hots objectives, and based on Bloom's taxonomies, verbs that we use in writing our objectives. Obviously, these objectives would be specific objectives and not general objectives, saying that they are for a specific lesson. The teaching methods in which this lesson would be using would include cooperative grouping, small group discussion, inquiry-based learning, project-based learning, demonstration, and questioning. So you should see these teaching strategies coming out in the lesson plan, and if you do not see them, just comment down below stating the teaching strategy that you do not see and teaching strategies that you might have seen that were not listed here. So the resources that will be used could be based on the teacher, but the ones I have here are as follows. We have pictures, we have utensils, so probably like cups, plates, those type of utensils, eating utensils. Various food items, we have pizzas, pies, drinks, um, those. We have toys that could be used, so we have like cars for probably the guys, dolls for the girls, those swimming noodles. Another utensil are fraction cards. And when I state fraction cards, I don't mean written fraction cards. I mean the pictorial fraction cards. You will have a fraction card with a whole circle, a fraction card with half of the circle, quarter of the circle, and different fractions that could be used, and different stationaries, so books, pencils, pens, and not for writing, but so that students can understand the concept of fractions. So, for the set induction, the teacher hopefully would have pizza in the classroom, and this is if you are able to fund real pizza. If you are, go ahead, do it. Once students aren't allergic to anything, you can have fake pizzas so that no student would feel different from another student. If one student gets a bigger fraction than the other, you can have the gummy pizza. That's up to you. So the teacher would have pizza, and they would share out different sizes within the classroom. So student might get a whole pizza, student might get half of a pizza, student might get a very small slice, which is like 1/8 of a pizza, 1/16 of a pizza. And then the teacher would ask the students to identify what size of pizza they would have received. After this is done, the students would have given the size of the pizza that they would receive. Then we would ask a probing question: what do you think this lesson will be about today? And you will continue until the students get the correct answer. I honestly do not recommend giving the answer to the students, because then, in my opinion, that's just like putting the information on them. Allow them to gain the knowledge for themselves and figure out things for themselves. That way they'll be able to better value the information that they will be receiving. So that is the set induction. For the learning activity, the students will go into groups of 4 independently. Um, what they would do is they would choose their partners. Hopefully, boys and girls would intermingle and mix together. Then each group would have fraction cards and toys and probably some of the food items, the utensils, and the teacher would give them various sizes, so they could probably have like half a cup of drink. They can have a little bit of food on the plate. But what would have to happen if they use a plate is teacher would have to section off the plate in different sizes so that you can put food in a particular size of the plate. They can have toys. So probably one of the examples that I had in the lesson plan was if the teacher gave 6 toy cars to a group and they had it all together in one group, then that will be a whole group of cars. And if they separate it, so they have 3 on one end of the table and 3 on the other end of the table, then it will be half of the cars on each end of the table, and they will have to match the fraction card to the items that they would have on the table to show that they understand the concept of fraction and how much makes up a particular fraction, the concept of the half of a fraction, a quarter of a fraction, and so on. So the next thing that they will be doing is they will be creating the manipulatives after they fully grasp the concept of fractions and the different sizes. So that will be the learning activity. The assessment would be where the students would display and do a presentation on the 2 manipulatives that they would have made in their groups and show the classroom and the teacher how these manipulatives could be used to teach fractions. Now, to measure this assessment, a rubric can be used by the teacher, and I did not create a rubric because in my opinion the rubric will be designed to how the teacher wants it to be designed. Um, Before we get to the last thing, we have the closure. And my closure is not, the regular just say what you learn, but write what you learn. Because a lot of children tend to retain better when they write information. But then, too, that depends on the learning style. So, for the closure, the students would write a sentence on something new that they would have learned in the lesson. Now, the homework or follow-up activity would be where the students will make a list of all the ways that they would have used fractions outside of the classroom. So maybe if they used it at home and they had to measure, half a bottle of drink, So half for them and half for their sibling, or if they had to measure, who gets how much food, if mommy gets half of the food in the pot, if mommy gets quarter of the food in the pot, and so on. So that would be our fraction lesson. I hope that it was fun and you did learn something. I apologize for not having manipulatives to show you, but yes, that is the lesson. I hope it will be fun and you would actually use it in your classroom. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and please do come again next week for lesson 3. You can state in the comments below what you would like our next video to be about. If you do not, that's fine. I would pick another video and we can get rolling on that. Now, if you see this, you can also state different ways in which this lesson can be revamped and you can make it your own. So have a good evening. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Class dismissed.